Oh, do I have a story to tell you? So thanks for Sev and the social media team scraping pretty much everywhere online where TEKKEN8 is mentioned for feedback. Using machine learning, we've been able to deduce with pinpoint accuracy what exactly it is the player base wants to see in Season 2. So what exactly was the conversation that was happening behind closed doors when Season 2 was announced? Well, with this patch, we're going all out. We're talking nerf chip damage, buff sidestepping, the complete and utter removal fucking power crushing engagers. This all seems really, really good. And like, this is all that's in the patch. Just defensive stuff. Yeah, pretty much. And you're certain. Now this extended health bar shit. Okay, but why do you keep on shitting on me like that was my idea, okay? That was 12's idea. I just reported it. You know, the other lead developer who isn't here when we're just about to launch. That's actually a pretty bad sign, actually. You know, considering what the game was, I really didn't think engineering could pull this off. You guys actually pulled off making this game defensive. I mean, implied lack of confidence in our abilities does hurt my feelings a little bit, but considering the fact that we did nerf Devil Jin into the ground and gave Kudon's a pretty difficult tournament here, I'll let that one slide. Yeah, all you need to do is give us green light and then we will take down the game for maintenance and deploy the defensive pack. Ah yes, the good ending we all wish we'd gotten. But the story doesn't really end there because though there were some pretty good decisions made in TEKKEN8 Season 2, nerfing of the power crushing, buffing of the sidestepping, etc., we also got a bunch of broken and busted tweaks to compensate for that. But to make sure we end up on the correct version of the timeline, we are going to patch in this ending that the main man envisioned to fix our continuity.
But when someone else or the same person, I don't know, there's no insight into a process, but someone else overtuned half a roster.
Every character in the game should be a boss character.
I think there's like an identity crisis on the developer team with TEKKEN8. Either it's two people, I likened it to two firefighters show up to a raging fire. One is pouring water from his hose on the fire, but the other guy is just going gasoline. They negate each other. You can't buff sidesteps and give everyone a homing plus attack. They can't coexist. That's the problem. They want both things. They want a more aggressive TEKKEN8 and a more defensive TEKKEN8 in the same patch.
Tekken Talk, March 24th, 2025. Though the patch is only going to go into production a week later, this event could be considered as the ground zero of the disaster patch. But to truly understand why this event was so controversial, we're going to need to understand two things about TEKKEN8. The first is that TEKKEN8 broke a long-standing tradition with the series by being a game that's focused aggressively on offense with a series that has been steeped for decades in defense, prioritizing aggression with all the new systems they introduced in the game. Because if you don't quite understand Tekken and you're not a player and you don't get the nuances, the older Tekkens kinda have this thing where they can look kinda boring at the highest level of play. Case in point, a grand final from Tekken 7
I like this patience right now, 2 rounds apiece.
versus a grand final from Tekken 8.
Well, with the horse one.
Abel in trouble. Lots of chip. Makes it through the heat. What happens next? The low, that's 2.
And the second issue, that is a direct result of this design ethos, is the fact that TEKKEN8 boosted aggression at the expense of defense. And there's perhaps no better example of this than a tournament final that took part nearing the tail end of Season 1. It's the Tekken European Cup Finals. On the one side, we have Nino piloting the Kuma, and we have Joker piloting the Fang Wei. And the comment section for this match is absolutely vitriolic. The basic gist of what happened in this match is that Kuma has an insane amount of chip damage. While Nino relentlessly attacks him, Joker is resigned to sitting back, blocking, and waiting for his turn. But he can't wait forever because he is still taking legitimate damage. Now, chip damage isn't true damage. It can still be recovered, but it can only be recovered by being aggressive, attacking. but that health is still legitimately gone. So if he gets whittled down to a couple of points of HP because of chip damage, if he takes true damage at that point, then he will lose the match. Now, I know what you must be thinking, and no, not all moves do chip damage, unless you're in Heat. Heat is Tekken 8's meter system that is available to anyone at the start of every round that powers up your character and makes every single move that they use deal chip damage. Now, without wanting to go any deeper into the game's mechanics, I'm hoping you get an understanding as to why the community at this point will be clamoring for more defensive options for players to deal with this level of aggression. So the Tekken team would respond to the community's requests, letting everybody know that everything's going to be okay, and that the next patch, Season 2, would strictly be focused on traditional Tekken, on bringing back defensive play.
はちょっと守備的な面のバランスがあまりうまくいってなかったと思っているので、シーズン2においてはその 3D 格闘ゲームの横移動を中心とした守備だったり、攻めを仕掛けられた側が守る時の守りやすさとか。
And so now with all that context established, let's see what happened at the Tekken talk.
So at the slash the number of shots increased. Right punch, right punch. Now Richie transitioned to Jaguar sprint. High output, but it is the number of shots high output, but it is unblockable. While standing right punch. Now Richie transitioned to the Jaguar sprint, and during heat,
打つ球の数が増えますと。
the number of shots increases.
ダメージ
So it does a slight damage to your opponent even if they throw escape. He's got a high option, but it is unblockable.
I mean, yes, it is true, they did add things for defense, but on top of that, they packed on so many offensive options that it pretty much invalidated everything they just announced that they'd be adding for defense. But a portion of the community kept tentatively optimistic because we'd only really know what was in this patch the day the patch actually released. So maybe this could just be attributed to like poor presentation on Bandai Namco's part. Maybe they just happened to show us the most egregious, aggressive parts of the game, and the defensive stuff would be all revealed when the patch finally dropped a week later. And the day of the release of the patch, along with its patch notes, all manner of hell broke loose across the internet.
They quadrupled down on several of the things that were severely like cumbersome and sort of removing the elements that sort of make Tekken really fun.
But Harada, in his infinite wisdom, with his Tekken team, decided to take the bullshit that we had in Tekken Season 1 and up it by 1,000 and turn every single character into Viltrumites.
Even the casuals, the real casuals, are giving me data saying they don't even like the aggressive play. So who is this game for?
The story surrounding this patch was so bad, it actually broke into mainstream news. It made breaking news on the Score Esports. You need to understand, if a fighting game makes breaking news on the Score Esports, it's either because Oz and Ash won another title, or something catastrophically bad has happened.
Tekken 8 Season 2 patch is here, and it's an absolute disaster. A supposedly defense-focused patch that puts more 50-50s in the game has reshaped the Steam review chart into a cliff worthy of Heihachi Mishima himself. This patch is weirdly ambitious, adding a ton of new moves. Fans are confused and pros are pissed, with one asking whether this was the worst patch ever.
They even managed to push away the no-tail, the darling of the Tekken community, FeedEx.
I will be taking a break from competing in Tekken 8 Season 2. And no, it's not because I don't want to adapt. It's not because I don't want to deal with the stronger buff characters in general. It's because I'm concerned about how the optimal way to win in this game will make me what I perceive to be a worse Tekken player.
It's around this point in the story where the company would start making a series of questionable decisions, one after the other. So walk me through how this works. Basically, in the backend, we'll be using OpenAI's API to run sentiment analysis across the entirety of Twitter at any given point in time. So I'll type in the sentiment Tekken 8 sucks, limited to one tweet, and... Wait, sorry, no, this is a false positive. This is Mrs. Play stuff. Actually, not really actually, like, dunking on the game. Should be fine. This is like good constructive criticism. This is what you want. It'll be fine. It's just one content creator. It's absolutely not going to be fine. See, and this is the part of the story where a lot of the bad decisions really started to kick into gear. See, Tekken's director Katsuhiro Harada and the executive producer Michael Murray are both very active on Twitter, and they're very active in the Tekken community in general. And when I mean active on Twitter, I mean they're doing like community shit. They're like talking to fans all the time and responding to people directly. So when people are mad en masse and really started like downvoting the game into oblivion, they would tag them directly. And in this barrage, a prominent Tekken figure in the community, Mrs. Playstuff, got hit with a block from Michael Murray. The problem with this is that the feedback that she gave was pretty fair and balanced. You know, she was commenting on the game as a product and as a customer who wasn't enjoying the product experience. And considering the fact that she was both respectful and a prominent figure in the community, this was very bad optics for the time. I believe that this is one of the key incidents that made the Tekken community believe that their complaints would never be heard. And so, a boycott was in order. Now, the boycott took the shape and form of an online petition encouraging players to submit their names if they were feeling dissatisfied with the direction that the game was going. You submitted your name and the website would probably make use of like some underlying API or something to detect if you ever decide to log in and play ranked, and if you did, you'd be automatically removed from the list. The biggest issue that I take with this website is purely from a design perspective. Like, anyone could submit anybody's name, and if your name was submitted without your knowledge, you'd have to go to the site and request that your name be removed. And as an engineer by trade, this design philosophy understandably deeply offends my sensibilities. But that little jab pales in comparison to the ire that this seemed to cause in parts of the community. And throughout this trying time, the developers were completely AWOL, radio silent, whatever you want to call it, until they suddenly weren't. Yeah, is there a reason why fires keep on erupting around our workspace, and is someone coming to rescue us? Those are symbolic of the situation we're in. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, why are you wearing sunglasses indoors? I feel like you're being passive aggressive in ways that's going to get us in trouble. There's nothing wrong with taking optical health seriously, and can we focus on the problem at hand? Yeah, how is this even allowed to happen? All we had to do is take the feedback, copy it, and paste it into the game. It just feels like there's like not a lot of room for things to go wrong like this. Black Ops on another bug.
They found a new absolutely disgraceful bug that basically breaks the game for one interaction. Puts yourself into Anna's stance, so you can apply Anna's cow's judgment mix-up, and you can also have access to her engagers out of the stance. Not only that, but while in this stance, you can also do Anna Rage Art, completely destroying the fundamentals of the game. Completely insane bug.
Yeah, this build is riddled with bugs. I mean, why don't we just revert back to season 1 when we fix this? Season 1's kind of gone. 12 deleted everything. Oh, it's gone. You let 12 delete the backups? Again, solutions. How do we move forward as things are right now? We could fix this by extending the health bar. That would technically buy us some time, actually. And thus, the long road to getting Tekken 8 back into a competitive state and winning back the hearts of the community finally began. First, they have to fix all the critical and game-breaking bugs that were introduced with the Season 2 patch. Then, they'd have to start the long and probably arduous process of toning down and nerfing every single character that got buffed into the stratosphere, which is pretty much everyone. But in the meantime, to compensate for all the high damage they gave to everybody, they would increase the health bar from 180 points to 200. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot, but in a critical round closing scenario, this could mean the difference between landing a combo that wins you the round versus having to survive yet another interaction with your opponent. I think this point in the story is the perfect place to cap off our recap of the disaster patch. But as things stand at the conclusion of filming, Nee's just won his 4th EVO Japan title, and a new patch has dropped that's getting the community excited about playing the game again.